Hey, Ware. On this episode of the CyberGizmo, we're going to be looking at the Pinebook Pro with a slight twist. Stay tuned right after this. Yeah, I know a lot of people have done this, done reviews on this laptop already, but I'm going to do it just a little bit differently today, and then maybe I'll come back and do a second one because I really want to do some benchmarking tests on this. I've had this since, I think, around the end of December, but I've been kind of playing with it a little bit and trying to figure out some of the things that are unique about it and some of the things that are the same as the other Pine64 products. So, it is a $200 USD laptop that's really meant to deliver a solid day-to-day experience with either Linux or BSD. It's an alternative to the mid-range Chromebooks, and a lot of people have been buying Chromebooks, the kind of the mid-range ones, and then trying to get Linux to install on them with varying degrees of success. So this is really designed to run Linux, but it will run Chromium if you really want to, but it is really designed to run Linux. It has a 14-inch IPS 1080p display. It has a magnesium alloy shell, so it is not plastic. It is made out of metal. It comes with either a 64 gigabyte or 128 gigabyte eMMC storage card, which, you can pick which one of those you want, or you can add it on at the time that you purchase. I don't remember an option when I initially bought this to get the 128. I think that's an add-on. So you still get the 64, and then you add on the 128. But it has a 10,000 milliamp hour battery, which is a very good battery for this particular machine because of the low power draw that it has. I mean, the machine only draws at full power. If you're drawing full power, it only draws about 15 watts. So if you're really driving it hard. It does have an unpopulated PCIe M.2 slot, and there is a board that the Pine64 folks sell that you can that'll allow you to add an M.2 device to the machine. The USB, it has a number of ports, but the USB-C port is the way that you can use, and it'll act like a normal USB-C port, but it also provides the ability to plug in an external monitor up to 4K, and I believe that's 60 hertz. But that does require the USB-C to HDMI adapter, or I think there's also a DisplayPort one, but I did not have any success getting the DisplayPort one to work. Just letting you know. Now, it could have been the dongle. I mean, it's very possible it could have been the dongle. So won't blame the Pinebook. It does have a RK3399 sock. That is the same that's in the Rock64 Pro. And the Mali that is also on board, that's the GPU, and that's a T860 MP4, which is exactly the same as the Rock64 as well. It does come with 4 gigabytes of LP DDR4 RAM built in. Now, that's soldered onto the board, and you cannot upgrade it, not to my knowledge. It does have a bootable micro SD slot as well off to the right side, and then the default is a 64 gigabyte eMMC. The PCIe slot is an X4 to M.2 NVMe slot. It does have SPI flash. It's 128 megabit, so not great, not big, not huge, but probably enough to be able to do some things. I have not opened mine yet to see whether or not there are ports that I can plug in external things to. I'm going to bet there probably are. But on the right side, there's a USB 2 port, and on the left side, there's a USB 3 port. It has stereo speakers. It does support Wi-Fi 802.11ac, Bluetooth 5.0, and there is security switches inside the machine that you can flip to disable those hardware-wise, which I find very good. It also has a headphone jack, which we'll talk more about that. The headphone jack has some dual use. There also is a microphone on that same jack, and there's also a built-in microphone under the machine. So, and you can turn turn that off with a security switch as well. The 1080p front-facing camera, that also can be disabled by the security hardware switch. You can pick ISO or ANC keyboards, but you have to do that at the time that you order the machine. It has a very large trackpad. If you want UART, that is serial, for doing debugging, if you're developing your own software, your own kernel, there is a adapter that you can purchase from, again, Pine64, that will provide UART access via the audio jack. So yeah, so that will come out of that as well. It uses a 5-volt, 3-amp power supply, and that's included with the machine. There's the default that comes with it is Debian 9 with the Mate desktop. That is built by community developer Mr. Fixit 2001. He's been on the forums for a long time. He does a lot of work, a lot of distributions work. He's very good. And the kernel that he's using is RUFON's 4.4.190. That's similar to the Pine64 Rock 64 Pro SBC. There are a number of other distributions available as well. Arch Linux has an ARM version, and I believe it's a pre-built. So if you want to just download it and install it, you can. Armbian also has, and I don't know if Armbian usually rates theirs. I guess I need to check. Armbian rates theirs whether or not they're in testing or whether they're stable. So not sure where they are with theirs, but they are usually very quick. And since they already have a Rock 64 Pro version of Armbian, I would bet they're probably pretty stable. They're probably, if I don't know, we can check. There's also Bionic LXDE and Bionic Mate. Of course, that's Ubuntu. And those, I believe, those two images were built by RUFON. So the same guy that does the kernel, he's very good. But I bet he's swamped right now because he's also doing the Pine phone. He's also working on the Pine phone, I think. There's also Chromium OS and Android 7.1 if that's really what you want to do. But us Linux guys, you know. Fedora has a version for GNOME. Which is out there. I believe that is in a testing state. I don't believe that's stable. There's also a Gentoo script, and the Gentoo script will generate the scripts for, I think it's stage 3 tarballs. So yeah, and then Kali, same thing. There's a script that will build a fully supported Kali image that you can install on the ARM. So those two scripts are really designed to build up an image in order to install it. Manjaro, of course, has versions for XFCE and KDE, and their version of GNOME, I think, is also in testing. So I don't think the GNOME is stable yet, but at least as the time of this video. But XFCE and KDE are stable releases, and that is the 20.02 release as of the time of this video. There's also NetBSD. I don't know if FreeBSD is working on ARM. They do have ARM versions. FreeBSD does also ARM. OpenSUSE, of course, that'll be Tumbleweed. I think they have. I think they have all three. I think there's a KDE, an XFCE, and a GNOME version for them as well. And then there's Q4 OS. Now Q4 is testing. That's a testing release. So, yeah, probably not going to get too far with that. So let me start the demo. This has a little bit of a long lead in, but we'll get started with the demo and actually doing a boot and install the Manjaro ARM. So what I'm going to do is, there's been a number of reviews of this laptop already that have been using, the standard Debian that comes with it. But what I thought I would do today is actually show you installation of Manjaro ARM, hopefully with KDE on this today, and we'll see how that goes. As you can see, it's starting to boot up into. Now I have an SD card that I built. I went to the. I'll show you this when I'm doing the front part of this video. But basically, what I'm going to do is follow the instructions that are on screen here for actually installing this. And mine has an ANSI keyboard, not an ISO. So you have to choose which keyboard it is that your particular Pinebook Pro came with when you're starting this. So it is a text installer, at least it appears to be. And now it's asking me for a username. So I'll put in rock. And we definitely want wheel. And let's see. All right, full name, password. Now it wants a root password. I don't know if I skip this, if it disables root like it does on the normal KDE install, but because it's the first time through, I think I'll give it a password. So at least I have a root account to go back to. Oops, says it does not match. Okay, restarting. I guess I get to do this all over again. All right, we'll do this again. And I'll and then it should, okay, good. All right, so then it should be asking me for my time zone, and I'm looking for Chicago. There it is. And now it's asking me for my locale, and that should be ENUS. I'm going to use UTF-8. That's what I always do. There it is. Host name for this, we'll call it, I don't know. How about Pinebook? All right, so it's confirming what I gave it, and now it should start the install. What this does is it actually takes the contents. You have to burn this to an SD card and then boot from it. Once you've done that and you start the script, what it should be doing right now, this is the only ARM release that I have ever seen to do this, where you boot from the SD card and then it copies the image over top of your eMMC, which is the drive that is built into the board on the well, it's not built in, but it's actually plugged into the motherboard of the Pinebook Pro. So wow, if it did that, it was pretty quick. It looks like it's trying to boot into the MMC. The Pinebook Pro normally will boot from the SD card first. So if you don't have anything in the SD card slot, then it should boot to the eMMC. It hasn't asked me to remove it yet, so, or maybe that was an assumption that I should have removed it. But I do see I have. This looks like KDE starting. Yep, it sure is. This long black screen while KDE builds. See, I'm okay. Hopefully I got the right password. Yes, all right. It looks like KDE. And the first time it's gonna try to guess what your display is, and it looks like it's doing okay. I want to see if this display that I'm recording with comes up as the second display or whether it shares with the first. If not, I'll have to set it. So, but we'll see. Just waiting for it to come up. That was a pretty fast install. There we go. It looks like it has started. Now that is definitely the second display. So I'm going to need to share this. Let's see. Should be able to just right click. Configure the desktop. Okay, I want both of them to be the same, but it knows that one already. So let's see. I need to go into KDE, and you can't see this because it's all off screen. Settings. System settings, maybe. Let's see. Display, display, display. Found it. Finally. Okay, so I want both of these to be the same. Or I could just make it primary, I guess. But it's not bringing over. Okay, that looks good. Looks like it's brought up the correct one. So let's see. Is there a way to share them? Yes. All right. Okay. Yay. Sorry about that. I just wasn't sure how this was going to react to this. Let me get that off the screen. So let's see what we can do. I need K-Console, and I'll probably have to do my usual. Yeah, that's way too small for you to see. So let me go down here to Settings, Edit the Current, and we'll go to Appearance, and we'll set, wow, 9. Okay, let's make this 15. And apply it. Okay. Why doesn't it have permission? I probably have to give this a different group, huh? So maybe I can set up a new one. Let's just see if I can apply that. Yeah. Okay. That looks better. All right. So hopefully you can see that. As always, let's start with what we always do. So this is an actual 5.5 release of the kernel. Now, the Debian one that comes with it, Open Sesame, that one is done by Mr. Fixit, as we had talked about, and that is using Arifan, or Arifan. It's using his kernel, which is the 4.4. I think it's 190 is the latest release of that. And the Rock Pro machines that I have behind me, those are also the same release of the kernel. But this is a kernel done, looks like by Manjaro. So excellent. I have a 5.5 kernel here. So yeah, that's really nice. I think that the Bionic versions of Ubuntu are all using Arifan's kernel, at least from what I could read. I'm not sure about Armbian. They usually do their own, and so I'm not sure about them, what they're using, but this is great. So we have a 5.5 kernel. Let's see what we're missing and what we need. So we need HTOP. I'm sure we have top. I'd be really surprised if that wasn't here. And let's see. It is showing all 6 CPUs. This is a big little model, which means that 2 of the cores run at high speed and 4 of the cores run at low speed or low power. So the idea behind that was so that if you had these are really meant for cell phones. And so if if you wanted to preserve the battery that was in your cell phone and your laptop for that matter too, you run on the lower power cores. And when you're plugged in, then you bring in the higher power, the faster cores is your preference for where you run your apps. So that's kind of the deal with ARM. Although I think I might do a video on this. If you go out and look at what ARM is doing right now, oh boy, that's going to be an interesting. If there's an ARM 64 FX, and if that ever comes down to us, oh wow, NVIDIA and AMD are going to be in serious trouble. But anyway, that's a topic for a different day. So okay, so we're using. Looks like we have obviously we have a total of 3 gig or 4 gig, and we're at about 444 megabytes used, according to that. Let's see if I can get out to the net. I probably can't because I haven't set up my Wi-Fi yet. Nope. So I cannot get out, and it's off. Now, you can set up a Ethernet if you have a USB 3 dongle. I don't know if I do or not. I know I have a USB 2 dongle, but I don't know if I have a USB 3 for Ethernet. Let me pause and I'll go see what I got. Okay, so I got my network up and running. So let's do a Pac-Man. Let's see if I can do a sudo. Okay. Let's get her up to date first. Nothing to do. So we'll do a sudo pacman -s htop. We'll probably want glances. And we might as well get neofetch too, although that's okay. And we'll go ahead and get those installed. Just so we can see how much. Usually the Pines don't take a lot of memory, even with the GUI up and running. They usually don't. So I'm not expecting any surprises here. 670 meg, but that is, yeah, that's probably about what I would expect, I guess. Let's see. Let's try glances. It's probably going to be, yeah, about 750. This is more about what I would expect Manjaro to take. Now, this is version 20.02, and we can check that if they implemented this, and they did. So, did it give me a version number? No. Does it give me a version number here? No. Oh, well, I guess it is. I guess it sort of does. But I believe that I know that when I downloaded it, it said 20.02. So I'm assuming it hasn't changed since I did that. Let's see what neofetch shows here. So it's not going to tell me a lot, is it? I am running, now according to this, it's running all 6 at 1.4. I doubt it. Somehow I just doubt that. But yeah. Let's see what we got here version-wise. The latest version. Not bad. So let's see. I think it's calm. Yeah. All right. So I want some video. let's see. I could go to YouTube, I guess. Pull up my channel and run some of my video and see what it actually does. See if the necessary plugins are actually installed to do video. All right, let's do the last one and just see what it does with it. We'll try going to full screen. Yeah, audio's playing. Now this is what? It's HD, it says. 1080 by 60. Okay, progressive. It's a little choppy, but for ARM, not bad. Not bad. I've seen a lot worse. But are you going to be able to run this at 4K? No. 4K 25 maybe, but not 60. I would rather doubt 60. None of those machines, which is the same chip, none of the Rock 64 Pros run 4K 60, so it's exactly the same chip, so I really doubt it. Same Mali as well that's in those. So yeah, I'm not going to play any more of that. So, if I can get down here to shut it off. Okay. Shut up. Go away. All right. So, yeah, the audio is working fine. Wi-Fi is working fine. So I guess the next sort of things that we'll probably want to do here, hang on just a second. I'll let myself time out a bit. Okay, so I guess the other thing to do is some tests. So let me, well, I see. I'd have to get onto my other network, but I suppose I could do this. I don't mind this keyboard at all. It's not bad. It's got file. So we can do some tests on the eMMC. Yeah, let's start with that. Let's see. I put that in root. So, all right. So, I doubt FIO is installed, but I wonder if it's file 3. Let's see. Nope. Yes, file. I think what I'll do is, as far as the responsiveness of the system, I mean, I'm not seeing any screen tearing, not even on looking at the video that's being captured. So, yeah. Now I did notice that with the Open Sesame version of Debian. So, yeah, Manjaro appears to have done a really good job with this release. So let me see what else we can do here. All right, so I don't have my scripts. I forgot those. Or did I? I don't think I did. Let's see. Oh, I did. I don't think these, yeah, these aren't positional. So let's see. File, sequential, SH. Oops. Yeah, if you happen to this needs adjustment is the trackpad needs adjustment, because if you even tap it, it will bounce you right out of it, right out of the focus. So let's just see now. Hopefully this is the eMMC and not the SD card. I would assume that it is. But we'll find that out. We'll do a DF and see what we've got mounted here. This is definitely not an SD card. I can tell you that. Just looking at the numbers, no, that is not an SD card. That is the eMMC. And by the way, you can put an M.2 in here, but just remember that just like the Rock 64s, they're not PCIe 3. So, and yeah, it does take 4 lanes. But it does require a card from the Pine64 folks, because it looks like it has an interface that goes into this motherboard for the laptop. But you can if you want to put an M.2 on this NVMe. So I think that's the only one they have. I don't think there's any other. Like, for example, on the Rock 64s, the Rock 64 Pros, you could put any PCIe card you want to in there, provided there's a driver for it. Okay, so we had, looks like, read time is 63.3 megabytes per second, or about 66.4. So that would think. Yeah, see, if I tap that, yeah, that's definitely the eMMC. Just because of the size of it. My SD card is 32 gig. Well, so is the, but no, it didn't. It installed it on the SD card. Wow, that's not bad for an SD card. That's not bad at all. No, that's not bad at all. Let's see. Let's do a sequential write. Let's see what we get on that. I'll probably do some more benchmarking on this. I'll actually run the suite on it. I'm not prepared to do that today. I'm going to have to, because I have to have a VPN connection to get across into my network. So, and that's not installed on here yet. So I will probably need to go do some benchmarking on this and then come back and let you guys know what I find out. So really the only thing I was trying to do today was just to try to boot and install the thing on Manjaro to see what would happen. I might maybe I'll try seeing if I can redirect the install over onto the eMMC if it's not already there. It's saying eMMC though. Yeah, that's not normally what you get. Well, I don't know. We'll find out. It is K1 though, and not K0. So, yeah, we'll have to see. All right, so 48 megabits per second and 45.9 megabytes per second. So not bad, not too bad. I think what I will do is probably explore this a little bit more on my own, try to figure out what else, to show you, and then at some point get back to you and talk about more about this. As far as the laptop is concerned, I'll give you my final thoughts in just a moment. So I've been using the Pinebook for, like I said, about 2 months now, and I like to take my time on reviews, and because I want to see how well the build quality is going to hold up. I did use Debian Open Sesame for those 2 months, and so this is the first time I have put Manjaro on the machine. The machine itself, the build quality is very good. I mean, it feels very solid. I know other people have said that as well. The keyboard is, I don't know what you would expect for a $200 device, but it is good. It is very responsive. It has a nice feel to it. and but there's there's no Ethernet no Ethernet jacks that are on the machine, but you can add those by a USB dongle. Now the other dongle that I had to use for this is I think it's an Annixter USB-C to HDMI cable. Be careful of which ones you get. I had a Cable Matters one that does not work. So the Annixter one does work, and I'll put a link down below for that one. I know that one works and it works fine. The sound quality is it's okay. It's not great. The speakers fire out of the bottom of the laptop. But again, for this price, what do you want? I mean, if you really want better sound, you can always plug in a pair of external speakers into the output port that's on the audio side of the machine. The power cord, I find it's a little short. it's about 1 meter long, and you can purchase a USB to Type H barrel connector. It does need a barrel connector to attach to the laptop, which is good. And you can purchase that particular cable will be that the ones that Pine64 sells is a USB to barrel connector, and they have one that's 1 meter or 3 meters. Unfortunately, the power adapter they shipped with mine did not have a USB port on the other end of it, so you'll have to probably repurchase one, and that's 5 volt 3 amp is all you'll need in order to do that. I think the cost of those are around $8 to $10, somewhere in there. It's not much. And then you can get whatever USB to barrel size connector cables that you want. But yeah, the ones that Pine64 sells are $4 and $5.50 respectively. So overall, do I like the laptop? Yes. I have been using it quite a bit. The video, as far as 1080p goes, off now. I was using Wi-Fi to do that, not Ethernet. So yeah, it's a little bit jerky, but that's pretty typical with ARM. You'll have better luck with 720p than you will 1080p, in my experience. So that's all I had for today. And as always, I hope you enjoyed. Let me go back up here. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed today's video. I just think that it's really nice that Pine64 is doing these kinds of builds. It really gives us a better choice in the open source world for lower cost laptops, and we have certainly needed this for a while. If you look at what Apple sells and what some of the others sells for in the Chromium, they're either really low powered, really low memory devices with very little storage, and it's very difficult to install Linux on those machines, or you pay what Apple wants and you can install Linux on those. But yeah, the MacBook Air is pretty pricey. So yeah, this is a lot cheaper and a lot better. So hope you enjoyed the video today. Hope to see you again real soon, and please like and subscribe, and bye for now.